People often think of the 1960s as the Walt Disney Company's family-friendly golden age. Those films are viewed as a representation of what entertainment could be like when it's not pushing an agenda or trying to trick the audience into embracing some sort of fringe belief. Anyone who thinks that couldn't be more wrong. The 1960s were ground zero for a massive cultural shift happening in the United States, and ideas like the hippie movement and the feminist movement, while not popular in the mainstream at the time, were already quietly being embraced by the artists and creatives making Disney's films. So, when Walt Disney put together a team to make Mary Poppins in 1963, whether or not he knew it, his family-friendly movie about a magical nanny became one of the earliest films to screenwash resistant audiences in favor of a rising wave of counterculture beliefs. This is the story of how Mary Poppins screenwashed American children into joining an ideology their parents had already rejected, and in the process created the disasters of the modern world. Mary Poppins was adapted from a book by author P.L. Travers. If you've read the Travers books, you probably noticed that they're almost nothing like the iconic Disney movie. Travers' story is strange, strict, and occasionally uncomfortable. Disney's version rewrites it into something softer, shinier, and far more ideologically driven. P.L. Travers hated everything about Disney's movie, and strongly objected to all of it, loudly claiming that it totally subverted and misrepresented the values she was trying to teach kids in her books. The changes start with Mary Poppins herself, who in the books is not a fun, whimsical character who lives her life indulging the fantasies of children. Travers' version of the character is stern, impatient, and distant. She's not very nice most of the time, and she's incredibly strict.
All begun is half done. There you go.
She never nurtures, she only corrects. Her goal is to help the children in her care become better adults.
Spit spot.
The movie version takes the opposite approach. She puts on a stern front, but ultimately, Mary Poppins is indulgent and encouraging of whimsy and fantasy. She looks down on practicality and uses shortcuts like magic to help the children avoid doing actual work.
There you go.
The movie itself sneers at anything that isn't purely fun, and goes out of its way to push the idea to viewers that a child's life should be little more than dancing on the ceiling. That approach makes the movie's villain Mr. Banks.
Play games, sing songs, give treats. Ridiculous?
In the books, he's not the villain. He's a normal father, and treated as a valued member of the household and leader of the family. In the movie, Mr. Banks is treated as a monster.
I do expect a certain decorum.
And the film ends by literally telling him to go fly a kite. But on paper, there's nothing villainous about what Mr. Banks is doing. He occasionally suggests that his wife should take her family responsibilities more seriously.
Winifred, where are the children?
I don't know, George.
You don't know?
He wants his kids to be well-mannered and respectful.
Tradition, discipline, and rules must be the tools.
He wants to take his son to work and teach him how to get a job. He tries to help his kids learn the value of money and wants them to open a savings account of their own. These things are all treated by the movie as pure villainy.
Welcome to our joyful family of investors.
Give it back! Give me back the money!
And it's Mary Poppins' job to teach the family how to subvert the practical advice of Mr. Banks. The film makes something that ridiculous work for the audience by using a well-known propaganda technique called poisoning the well. Poisoning the well is what happens when an idea is discredited by attacking the source of the idea rather than the idea itself. So if you have someone evil say something reasonable, and then make everyone act like those ideas are as evil as the person saying them, then people will associate those ideas with evil. It doesn't matter how reasonable or illogical those ideas might be. The famous Feed the Birds moment in Mary Poppins is the biggest, most manipulative, emotional knife twist. A kindly old woman sells breadcrumbs. The child wants to help her.
Please, may we feed the bird?
The father suggests the money could be saved instead.
When we get to the bank, I shall show you what may be done with your tuppence.
The film frames this as a moral failure. The camera lingers, the music swells, the audience is trained to feel that prudence is cruelty.
They are smiling each time someone shows that he cares.
The real trick here is that the movie isn't actually arguing against greed. It's arguing against long-term thinking. It reframes responsibility as emotional coldness.
I do expect a certain decorum.
It quietly tells children, and the parents watching with them, that planning ahead is somehow less virtuous than impulsive generosity.
Feed the birds. Tuppence a bag.
This was also one of the core beliefs of the early 1960s counterculture movement.
Well, of course she's saying it. What else would she be saying?
Long-term planning was framed by hippies as submission to the system. That's not in a movie like Mary Poppins by accident. That's intentional conditioning. Mr. Banks isn't wrong. He's right. Saving money is good advice. Teaching a child that money has future value is one of the most important lessons any parent can give. But Mary Poppins turns that into a character flaw because the story has a set of subversive ideas it's delivering.
It's that Poppins woman!
That's the only reason Mr. Banks is in the movie. He screenwashes the audience against the basic, common-sense family values that were popular at the time. Values which people couldn't be convinced to abandon through honest debate. In contrast to Mr. Banks, Mrs. Banks is functionally absent. She leaves the children daily to attend political causes, marches, and meetings.
We're all going to Downing Street to throw things at the Prime Minister.
The film plays this as quirky and admirable. Her absence is never framed as neglect. It's always framed as liberation. She's doing important work after all, work that just happens to require abandoning her kids entirely to a stranger with supernatural powers. The movie never asks the obvious question,
2, 1, fire!
Why is it okay for the mother to be gone doing things which contribute nothing to the family, but monstrous for the father to be busy making money to support them?
Madam, that is entirely beside the point.
That asymmetry is intentional. The film wants you angry at the man who pays the bills and indifferent to the woman who doesn't come home. Responsibility is recoded by Mary Poppins as oppression. Absence is recoded as self-actualization. And then Mary Poppins arrives. She doesn't replace the parents. She overwrites them. She's not just a nanny. She's a psychological counterweight.
Oh, please, Mary Poppins. Please. Oh, well, if we must, we must.
She rewards emotional indulgence. She ridicules discipline. She makes authority figures look foolish. She trains the children to associate joy with rule-breaking and resentment with structure. This is classic emotional reframing. Emotional reframing is a persuasion technique where a person, story, or message changes how you feel about an idea without changing the facts of the idea itself. Mary Poppins doesn't argue with Mr. Banks. She outshines him. She doesn't prove him wrong, she makes him look irrelevant. That's how propaganda works. You don't refute the opposing idea, you make it feel old, uncool, and joyless.
I do expect a certain decorum.
Even the bank itself is depicted as a literal monster. Columns like teeth, employees like drones. It's not a place where stability is created, it's a villain's lair. Never mind that the bank represents the very system keeping the household afloat. The audience is trained to cheer when it collapses into chaos. By the time the movie ends, Mr. Banks has been fixed. And how was he fixed? Not by being validated, not by being appreciated, but by being transformed into a whimsical, kite-flying man who abandons seriousness altogether.
Oh, let's go fly a kite.
That's the movie's final trick. The father must become a child to be redeemed. Mr. Banks doesn't get credit for being right. He gets rewarded for giving up. His arc isn't growth, it's surrender. The movie's message is clear. Responsibility must yield to sentiment, or it deserves to be mocked into extinction. Mary Poppins teaches children that adults who plan are villains, that mothers don't need to be present.
I must hurry. Our gallant ladies in prison are waiting for me to lead them in song.
And that money is something you feel about.
Give it back! Give me back the money!
Not something you manage. It wraps that lesson in warmth, then dares you to question it without looking like the bad guy yourself. That's what being brainwashed looks like. That's what propaganda looks like. You walk in thinking you're watching a harmless musical. You walk out believing the most responsible person in the room was the problem all along. Enjoy your Arrested Development, kids. You've been screenwashed.